when they looted our cabins, they took cameras, laptops and telephones, anything we could communicate with. But they also took our clothes, because they'd lost some of theirs. And it was rather amusing to see them wearing our clothes around the ship. But me being sort of 70, my clothes weren't very interesting. The younger seamen with logos and badges on them, their shirts and stuff appeared on all the pirates, you know. Anyway, there we are at this anchorage, and every day the chief engineer and I, we still had a few cans of beer, and we'd have a lunchtime beer. And apart from everything else, our families and that, we began to devise a way of escaping, or at least make it possible for the Americans to attack and save us. So the plan was that on a given signal, all of us crew would make our way into the stern compartment behind steel watertight doors, black out the ship, shut all the lights off and everything. And when the American warships saw us blacked out, they would know that we were safe and they could attack. This depended upon us getting the message to the warship via Copenhagen, where I was to phone every day regarding the ransom, and hoping that Copenhagen would tell the warship, when you see them black out, attack. So, just after midnight on the 12th of February, we all, by various means, made our way to the stern compartment, and rather to our surprise, the pirates were bashing at the last steel door. So Fred, the chief engineer, went under the engine compartment, and the other 5 of us went into the ballast tank and pulled the lid shut and barred it up. So you're in there absolutely totally pitch black, with about 4 feet of ballast water swilling about. And we climbed up onto some sort of ledges, and the Russians smoked all the cigarettes they had until they either got wet or they'd finished them all.
So where was the air coming in then?
Well, the air that we had in the tank was all we'd got, because I knew the one ventilator we'd sealed up previously to stop sea coming into the tank in heavy weather, you see. So I knew that we were limited as to air. But I thought it'd only be a few hours and the Marines will attack, and any limeys aboard, come on out, the Marines are here, you know. But instead of that, we were there for 18 hours while the pirates were bashing at the steel trying to get at us, but no sound of Americans. And at last we decided to give ourselves up.
And what was your feeling when you
Well,
came to that point?
I felt that I'd got us all into this situation, and you know, obviously I was responsible for whatever would happen to us when we got out. You know, whatever they might do to us. So it was a sort of democratic decision to give ourselves up, which we decided at 4 o'clock. We decided to leave it another 2 hours, but then at 5 o'clock we all agreed to give ourselves up. So we made our way through to the manhole which we'd entered from, and we removed the iron bars, and we tried to open it, and it wouldn't open, which meant that the pirates had put the nuts on the other side and bolted us in. So what was our sanctuary was now our tomb. Well, our prison and potentially our tomb. But I sort of persuaded the Russians that we were worth more alive than dead, you know, and said they will let us out. And after 2 more hours, they let us out. And they called for me first, Captain Colin, come out, and anyway, we arrive up on deck and we're told to lie down, and then Omar, the captain, sort of says up on the bridge, told the Russians to lie down, and I was standing there completely filthy and starving hungry and soaking wet, looking as contrite as I could, and he just sort of looked at me And at last he said, Captain Colin, Captain Colin. He held out his hand, and so I shook his hand. It was just as if you'd played a good game of squash, but you lost, you know. And then he said, sleep. So I lay down to sleep, and before long I was shivering. And then he threw a blanket on me. So I thought, well, it ain't so bad after all, really, you know.
Did you develop a relationship with the pirates at all?
Yes, I mean, the whole, right from the beginning, I felt that if we become people instead of just strangers, they're less likely to shoot us. I mean, the threat was always there. If we don't get the ransom, tell the owners in Copenhagen, if we don't get the money, and quickly, you will be shot. So you had to keep telling them that. But as time went on, you know, you try to build up this relationship with them, show them that they can trust us not to misbehave. Mind you, that attempt to escape, that set us back a long way. After that, we weren't allowed to go to our cabins or anything. We had to stay in the wheelhouse.
Would you advise people today to try these things?
No, because the policy of the ship owner is simply to pay the ransom. He doesn't want the risk of dead bodies. He'd be paying more to families bereft for the next umpteen years, and perhaps his ship would be shot up as well.
So really, you won no friends either way?
Not at all, not at all. We did ourselves a disservice. Plus, I felt that I'd let the Russians down because we'd lost all our privileges, and it was my fault, you know. But the Irishman, he and I worked really well. When the mullah was doing his praying to Allah, the Irishman was there with his beads praying to his God alongside of him. And I wasn't sure that was very wise. I thought, you know, it might be offensive to a Muslim to have a Christian praying beside him. But it was up to the Irishman, you know, and he survived. Anyway, as time went on, the negotiations every day with Copenhagen was leading to a certain amount of money being accumulated. But this made the pirates impatient, you know, and they kept renewing their threats. They got a better interpreter, a school teacher. He said, I am Muhammad Abdul Ali. They call me Gilly because of this, and his top teeth were missing, so I think Gilly must mean gappy. And he said, I am a respectable schoolmaster. I am not one of these bandits, but they have forced me to work for them. And I must get back to my students as quickly as possible. So I don't want to be here. I have been forced to be here. So I said, what are they paying you then? He said, $5,000. So I said, well, that makes you a pirate in the eyes of the law. Same as they will all hang together. No, 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 I am a respectable schoolmaster. But he was clearly eager to get back to his students.